Itzy's B-side, Imaginary Friend, received a lot of good attention and for good reason. It shifted the group's visual and emotional landscape in a way that felt both unexpected and overdue. With its eerie restraint, echoing vocal direction, and grayscale palette, it showed that Itzy can revisit their ever-present theme of self-confidence, or more accurately the rediscovery of it, while still capturing the public's interest. Or, more simply, it's just a good song. However, personally, Imaginary Friend reignited a facet of K-pop music that I haven't felt in a while. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy the bombastic, optimistic nature of the larger scene, but there is so much to love about a softer track referencing a more personal challenge in its lyrics and visuals. There's something so endearing about a track that encompasses loneliness so completely, while tying in very real experiences of the group itself. Oftentimes, it feels like groups are given music that fits their general aesthetic and vibe without much thought beyond that. But it's been a while since I've seen a song so representative, so emblematic of a group. If another group had released Imaginary Friend instead of Itzy, I probably still would have liked it, but it wouldn't have been as nearly as impactful. Because knowing where they started, with songs like Dala Dala, Wannabe, and Not Shy, and then hearing this, I love their earlier music, and Imaginary Friend feels like the depth people wanted from them for so long. Their earlier music was good, I don't want to discredit that, but releasing a self-confident anthem time after time after time can only last so long. But a peek behind that curtain, a chance to finally see what lies beneath the gaudy veneer, feels like a full circle moment. To understand why this song resonated with me, it's important to separate what the song says from what I heard. Plainly, Imaginary Friend is a song about self-acceptance. Familiar ground for Itzy, but delivered with a more subdued, almost eerie tone. The lyrics describe a fabricated presence, a comforting shadow that offers support. It's portrayed as a companion that emerges when you need it most. Born from isolation, sustained by pressure, and ultimately positioned as a positive force. There is no doubt that the intended purpose of this song was to have a hopeful narrative, but I didn't experience it that way. To me, the Imaginary Friend was disturbingly familiar, but it wasn't a source of comfort, it was a construct. A version of myself I created not to survive, but to compete with. A blueprint of who I thought I should be, who I could be. Smarter, prettier, more charismatic, you name it. Me, but better. At first, that version felt like motivation, a vision to strive toward. But over time, it became something else entirely. A standard, a judge, a ghost that I couldn't separate myself from. There was a time where I didn't just fall short of that ideal, I paid for it with guilt. Every failure felt devastating, and I couldn't just let it go. I'd punish myself, not in ways I'll spell out, but in ways that unexpectedly stuck with me for a long time. Quiet, routine, invisible to anyone else. It got so bad that at one point I perceived falling short as not just a mistake, but a moral failure. That impression stood out to me most clearly through the song's structure, which mirrors this duality. The first half, Who Am I? The Revolution, suggests a conscious transformation. You create this new self to break free, to take control. But the second half, Who Am I? The Evolution, reveals the long-term consequence. The aspiration turns into an expectation. You're no longer growing, you're performing. You don't live besides the ideal, you live beneath it. That shift is subtle, but it's where the song hit me the hardest, because I've lived that arc. The slow transition from ambition to self-erasure. And Imaginary Friend captures it without fanfare. No climax, no meltdown, just a slow fade into the background, where identity becomes performance and even your inner voice sounds like someone else's. This wasn't really a song that offered me clarity. It gave shape to a confusion I lived through years ago at this point, but never really voiced. I've since deconstructed that kind of thinking, and hearing it sung back to me, definitely not intended mind you, shook something loose. And oddly, it helped me reconcile how ridiculous that mindset was. Because nothing snapped me out of my self-criticism like hearing it aloud and realizing just how stupid it sounded. In a genre obsessed with polish and resolution, Imaginary Friend dares to linger in ambiguity. It's not Itzy's loudest song, It's not their flashiest, but it is, in many ways, their most human. As a B-side, it is unburdened by performance expectations, giving the group room to explore a more skeletal, grayscale sound. The production is sparse and slightly off-kilter. Vocals echo from somewhere unreachable, and the rhythm moves like a heartbeat just out of sync. It's not perfect by any means. Some might find it too cool, too emotionally detached, or too subtle to leave a mark. But Imaginary Friend isn't really meant to be that. It just watches. And sometimes that silence speaks louder than any anthem. If this is the direction Itzy is willing to explore, I am more than willing to follow them into the dark. And that'll be it from me for now. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye!